This is a 2-pack of Everbright rechargeable LED headlamps. This is their green color. I was sent these to review for free. If you want to purchase them, they would cost you about $10 each. It's about $20 for the 2-pack. They haven't paid me for this review, and my opinions remain my own. Alright, so in the box you get 2 of these headlights, 2 USB A to C charging cables, a thank you card, a little instruction card manual, and a poster that has all of their other products and brands available. Alright, so this is the green version. It has a headband here that has a strap which you can adjust to make it tighter or looser depending on how big your head is. There's this little guy here which can snap to different positions, either straight ahead or looking down at pretty much a 90-degree angle. And then it has a single button on the top for controlling it, and on the bottom there's a USB-C port for charging it. So you push the button once, you get a light. You push it again, you get a dimmer light. You push it again, you get a red light. Push it again, you get the green light. Push it again, you get red flashing, and then again and it's off. This guy doesn't have too much control over brightness. You essentially say, okay, I want the bright spotlight, so that's as bright as it gets, or the dimmer spotlight, or you say, hey, I want, kind of night vision map reading red lights, and you can then go to green lights, which is supposed to not annoy wildlife, or you can have the flashing red lights. And so you don't have any dimmer control over those modes. Those are just the modes you get. So it has a memory function. It will remember the last mode it was in. So if you push and hold for 2 seconds, it'll turn off the red mode, and when you turn it back on, it comes back on in the red mode. All right, according to the manual, the weight here is 80 grams. It says it has a 1200 milliamp hour lithium battery. Maximum brightness of the bright mode is 350 lumens, and the maximum running time is 7 hours. I'm assuming the maximum running time is probably with one of either like the dim mode or maybe the red light mode. We'll try and see what the maximum running time is with the bright mode after I charge it up. All right, so with the headband, this guy weighs in at 85 grams or 84 grams. So I think the 80 gram weight is probably the weight without the headband. So I'm going to take the headband off, put that on there. Well, that's 66. So despite what the manual says, the actual weight of the entire unit here is 84 grams. Either that or my scale's off by 4 grams. Right, so I'm plugging this guy into a USB-C power delivery charger, and it does negotiate power delivery correctly. It doesn't really benefit from power delivery because it's just drawing 5 volts, and right now from the factory it's only drawing 0.4 amps, so it's charging at 2 watts. There is a red LED in there, and I'm assuming that LED either changes color or turns off when it's done charging. So I have reset my amp hour counter, and we'll see how much power it takes to refill this from the factory, because it does come, partially charged from the factory. Alright, both of these guys are now showing green lights, fully charged. This guy here didn't even take a watt hour. It's like 80 milliamp hours to fully charge it from the factory. So if it's a 1200 milliamp hour battery, these guys came from the factory, just about fully charged from the factory. Alright, it is 9 p.m. and I have turned on both of these lights. So this guy over here is turned on the high brightness mode. The one over there is turned at the low brightness setting. And you can kind of see the pulse width modulation of the beam making those wavy lines. That's an artifact with the interaction of the shutter speed of my camera and the pulse width modulation of the headlight. In real life, your human eye doesn't see the lines flashing. But what we're doing here is we started both of these at 9 p.m. and I have the time-lapse camera watching the whole setup, so we'll be able to see at what point the bright light turns off and at what point the dim light turns off. Sometime overnight, the headlight that was in high mode has turned off. The headlight that was in low mode is still going, so we're just going to let that go and see how much longer low mode lasts over high mode. Now I've turned off the lights in the garage here, and you can see these headlights are putting out a decent amount of light here. I can definitely see what's going on there. Okay, the other flashlight has turned off. Time to check the time-lapse camera. Alright, so the light that was at the bright setting went until about 1:45 a.m. So that's about 4 hours and 45 minutes, and then the bright light turned off. Now the dim light kept going. Here's 7 a.m. It's basically 10 hours later. It goes strong for 10 hours, and then it starts to dim a little bit there at the end, and then it turns off about 7:22. So you basically have 10 hours on the dim setting. Okay, this is me wearing the headlight outside at night, and you can see this is the high setting, and it's putting out kind of a spotlight. There's more light around this, you know, so I can see where I'm walking, for example. If I point it down a little bit lower, I can easily walk around with this guy. I am going to switch over to the dim or low mode here. Alright, so that's the low mode. It's definitely dimmer. It's still in a spot shape, so the shape doesn't change, just how much light. You know, my estimate here is it's maybe half as much light. Alright, I'm going to flip over to, I believe it's red next. So this is red mode, and you really can't see much in the camera. I can definitely walk around in red mode. If I had a book, I could read it. So here I'm next to the garage door, and you can see, you know, the red light there. It's significantly dimmer than the low mode. I'm not sure if it's dim enough that I'd want to use it for astronomy. You know, so you can see there's the light and off the headband. It'd be acceptable for astronomy. I don't think astronomers would yell at you too much because it's red light, but it might be a little brighter than you'd like. All right, I'm going to flip over to green, and I don't think the green is much brighter than the red. In fact, it might be a little diffuser. You can kind of see there's the garage door and the green light moving around. The idea here, I think, is that green light doesn't make animals, or animals don't see it as much, maybe. I don't know what the green light's for, but we have green light. There's also the red flash, and it's a pretty flashy flash, so that would be very suitable for biking if you wanted to put this on the back of your head and make a good bike tail light. It doesn't throw a whole bunch of light, but it flashes pretty annoyingly, so it's pretty easy to see. You can see here, you know, you can see that flash reflecting off of things. So I think the flash itself is much more intense than the solid red light, but it's only on for a brief portion of time. That's off, and then here we are back on with the major heavy-duty light again. Alright, so I ran this headlight all the way down, and now we're charging it back up. I've reset the milliwatt hour and the watt hour counter here. You know, it's doing 5 volts at 1.1 amps, so it's charging at about 5 watts. And I'm just going to let it go until it stops charging, and we'll see how much power goes into the battery. Alright, this guy has been recharged. It claims a 4.4 watt hour battery, and it delivered 6 watt hours to charge it up, so I think that 4.4 watt hour battery claim is appropriate. So this guy, you know, meets its specifications from a battery size standpoint. Now, I did drain both of these, so I'm going to charge the other one up just to make sure it has a similar capacity battery. So yes, the second light also took 6 watt hours to recharge. Alright, if you're looking for headlight, you can't go wrong with this guy. It has the 5 modes. It's easy to use. You basically just push the button until you get the mode you want, and then if you push and hold for 2 seconds, it'll turn off. If you turn it back on, it'll come back in the mode you left it in. And if you just keep pushing, it will eventually go off as well. So this guy is pretty bright. It's not super bright, but it's bright enough. The light here is more of a spotlight, but there's enough fringe outside where you can see where you're walking. The red mode is a little brighter than I'd like for astronomy, but it's pretty good for everything else. I don't know what I'd use the green mode for, but it has a green mode. And then the red flashing light, it's always useful to be able to pop up a red flashing light sometimes. Now, you get 2 of these in a pack, so they're basically $10 each. I have reviewed a different Everbright headlight. which is a little bit more complicated to use, but it's also more powerful. It's brighter, it has more light that comes out of it, and it also can be dimmed. So this guy, you push the button to go through all the modes, but you also, if you push and hold, it'll allow you to dim modes. And so this is what I use for astronomy because I can dim that red light down to a really low level. And so if you're looking for something a little brighter or with more control of the, instead of just high and low beam, you can have stepless dimming. This guy here costs not quite twice as much as like $16 versus $10. So if you're looking for a headlight, you don't mind spending a little more, you might upgrade to this guy here. I'll put a link to the video review for that. Now, if you're looking to outfit a couple of kids, these guys are great for kids. They're low priced, they work very well. They're very similar in functionality to this guy over here. They just don't have the ability to dim and control the dimness of the light.